Welcome to the Fool. Take a deep breath with me and just land into this space. Maybe close down your eyes for a moment and just before any words are exchanged, think of the Fool archetype for you. What are the first things that are coming up? And sip them in. Allow your breath to anchor you into this present moment. Allow your breath to awaken your roots. Your deep stability in your core, in yourself, in this very moment. Can you arrive fully, taking all parts of you into this very now? Allowing your shoulders to drop away from your ears. Relaxing your jaw. Maybe you need to shake a little bit. Maybe you want to reconnect with your root, your sacral chakra. Place a hand on your heart. Remembering maybe that initial intention, that word, that thread that carries you through. And allow it to flood your entire system, that potential, that opportunity, that new beginning, that space of possibility and that space of potential, that ripe fruit of potential, of a journey that you have not yet undertaken, but you can feel it. It has not yet happened. It has not yet transformed you. It has not yet moved through you, but there is already a knowing and a presence of what that journey will be like. Can you tune into that? Can you allow yourself to expand a little bit more into that? Maybe you wish to stretch open your arms, opening your chest if you have the space and the capacity. Open wide heart, open wide mind to the sky of possibility. For energy to move through. And when you're ready, coming back into the space, feeling that energy present with you, and I will encourage you through my talking. Keep yourself anchored in that space. Keep breathing to it. Keep dancing with it. Maybe your thoughts go somewhere and then you come back into that space. Have fun. Enjoy it. So today we begin with the archetype of the Fool. So as I already mentioned in our drop-in, new beginnings, adventure, innocence, expansion, journey, trust. Let me feel into some anchor points for us to start sparking and igniting our imagination, our intuition, our gnosis. When I think of the Fool, I am thinking of spontaneity, the unknown, the uncharted territory, the new. Maybe the shadow aspect is more around recklessness and impulsivity and distrust and abandonment in some forms of trying to get to new things all the time because we enjoy the high of the new thing, but we're not able to truly bring things into completion. When I think of the Fool, I think of the court jester, that archetype of the one in court who has the freedom to speak difficult truths, to speak unpalatable truths, because the Fool has the capacity to make them more digestible, deliver them to you in a silver platter, right? So what else is there? I'm thinking inner child. I am thinking climbing the mountain. I'm thinking, some sort of alchemy and connection to the divine, connection to that first innocence, that primordial truth that is carrying us forward. I already mentioned this in the intro video, but what is your primordial truth? That connection to life itself. Something has to, encourage you and allow you to go on this adventure, right? What is that? What is that consciousness, that energy, that feeling for you? That drive, that impulse, that spark. To me, the Fool also is in some ways a shapeshifter, a clean slate. To have the identity of a fool in some ways appears to me as somebody who is very elusive and very able, this is not the proper English, but able to shapeshift, to transform, to be almost liminal, to almost be no thing, no one. This unscathed, undamaged in some ways, untraumatized part of us who knows that it can trust unconditionally, who knows that they can trust that inner call, who has not yet maybe experienced the challenge of the journey, those formative, shapely moments. There's no gray hairs, no wrinkles, no stories to tell yet. It's the true 0 point. And when I think of the 0 point, I'm thinking of the void, the fertile void of creation, the womb space, the cosmos, the soil underneath our feet, that which holds, in some ways, all of our seeds of creation, all of our dreams. It alchemizes and holds that initial spark. It actually, in some ways, is the home. Maybe something that you can feel into in this moment is like, feel into your earth. Feel into the soil of your being. Feel into what earth are you walking on? Is it wet and fertile? Is it dry? Is it like desert? Is it Is it rocky? Is it mountainous? Feel into the texture of your body right underneath your skin in this moment, recognizing that it can change in any given moment and it can shift with the seasons. We can water it, we can let it be broken open. Is it lava? Is it drenched? Is it muddy? Is it more like a bog? And yeah, maybe taking a deep breath into that for a moment, just sinking beneath your skin, into the soil, into the earth of you. Maybe a good anchor point would be your womb, your belly, or your heart. Our heart can often reveal to us our blockages, our armor, our womb in that same way. Even if it's your energetic womb, if you are a man, it's called the hara, the energetic womb. You also have the capacity to access the creative life force energy, the Tandien point, the point of creation in your sacral chakra. What is your earth communicating to you in this moment? And simply feeling, recognizing. The fool and the jester to me is also somebody who is not afraid to speak to the shadow, to speak to the icky and the yucky, but they do so with an air of lightness and ease, and it is their innocence that allows them to somehow transverse, to move between the realms of perhaps that chunky, difficult, challenging, shadowy realm, and that above the clouds, floating and frivolous and flirtatious, innocent, maiden-like energy or childlike energy, without getting too heavy. So the fool has this master skill of pointing directly to shadow or a pain point, but without it necessarily getting dense. I feel like the fool at times, he needs to have the precision of a needle, of a pinprick, of a thorn that it just, pricks you and it just boop, it just knows the right point to touch, a bit like acupressure, right? Or massage. It knows the exact point where to bring your attention. So if something came up around your earth or your environment of your body, can you take on this energy of the fool, where you almost allow it to move through you like water? You are this master shapeshifter and this weaver of your life, where you can digest the shadow material of your life in a helpful way, in a way where you don't have to become the victim of it, and in a way where you can actually retain your power. The crow here really wants to add some additional elements, but let what I'm speaking to you awaken something. Let it move through. These transitions are designed to be embodied, somatic, mythic, feminine, intuitive, initiatory, to awaken you to the fullness of all of these archetypes and the fact that we can access all of them. And so the ego can get really defensive, right? It can get really hurt. It can get really wounded. It can easily trigger our victim, and it can very easily trigger our defense. So the Fool has that art and that alchemy of just skimming very close, maybe to the surface of the ego, and somehow finding a crack where they can go a little bit inside. That's really cool, right? And whatever we're contemplating, whatever we're working with, the Fool can help us slip beneath the surface into that void, into the core of truth, into that thread. So to me, that's one big aspect of the Fool archetype. The other aspect that comes up to me is, what is our relationship to trust? How deeply can we trust life? We get that bright idea, that spark, that intuition, that adventure. Do we follow? Do we have the grounds, the foundation, the fundaments to follow? Whether that's nice in our psyche, whether that's in our outer reality, which could be financially, it could be in our body, it could be in the structure that we have built for ourselves, in that energetic container. And also emotionally, can we trust life? And that can be a really, really juicy topic to dive into. Can we trust life? And for me, a big part of my journey is actually learning how to trust life again and again and again, because I can tell you, I do not trust life. In this moment in my life, maybe there's, maybe there's like 60 or 70% where I can trust, and it's very rooted in the material world. It's very, pragmatic. It's very action orientated. But when I tune into the unknown, when I tune into the feminine, into the liminal, and I'm asked to trust, then all of, the shadows can so very easily creep up. And when I think of the Fool, we have to talk about the hero's journey. The Fool has not yet gone on the journey, but he has maybe knowledge of it. But not knowledge in a way that actually burdens him. Him, I say him in a very loose fashion. It is a him in the original tarot deck. So, or, actually, he's wearing a very beautiful dress, so it can also be a she, or something in the middle. I always think the Fool is very flamboyant. He's not afraid to show his colors, his authenticity, his like brightness to the world. Like, there's no hiding there. But going back to the journey and the creativity, the Fool, to me, has energetic gnosis of the creative process or the journey. So maybe he's been through some initiations. You know, he's not a child, actually. He is, let's say, a young adult. So there must have been some formative experiences in his life that have already created the backbone, that he feels ready to take on this adventure. Birth, even, that's an initiation. Adolescence, that's an initiation. Blossoming into adolescence. You know, maybe working with the initiations of our sexual energy. We can feel into all of these things and understand what has happened in the past for the Fool to prepare for him in this moment. What has tended to his grounds? What was his upbringing? What was his mothering and fathering? What was he supported by? What did he learn? And when we think of initiatory rites, they have been with us for a very long time. Everything in life moves in cycles and seasons. We have spring that is followed by summer, that is followed by autumn, that is followed by winter, and they all have flavors. So, you know, let's say the Fool is a 16 or an 18-year-old. So that means that he has lived 18 summers, 18 winters, but they were all in that sheltered, innocent, maybe free way, in a way that was not projected by society. I always like to imagine the Fool as this vagabond. Is that the right term? Of this freedom seeker and this, you know, maybe in some ways airy fairy, you know, closely connected to nature and closely connected to life character. Like he doesn't seem to me to be burdened and heavy. Actually, he seems like he has been very close to the elements and to nature, and he has a little dog with him, you know. There's friendships and camaraderie and connection, and that feeling of I'm not alone. It feels like the gust of wind is with him, and that initial momentum and that spark is just urging him onwards. Like, that is trust, right? We get that idea, we get that spark, and we trust, first of all, to alchemize it, to cultivate it, to bring it through, but also trusting to take the action, even if we don't have all the answers, even if we don't have all the puzzles. I have a very analytical mind. I'm a Virgo, so, you know, without putting myself into boxes, I love knowing things. I'm like, can I give it to me? You know, give me the answers. I love answers to questions. I love structure when it's in my mind, not necessarily to carry it out. But I love this, you know, quest for knowledge and knowingness. So faced with the unknown, that can be really vulnerable, that can be really naked. And in some ways, I mentioned the sack that the Fool carries. Like, what's in that? What is he carrying? And in some idea, I want to have the sense that actually that sack is empty, or pouch, that it's empty, because he trusts life so much that he knows he will, first of all, gather gifts from his journey that he will be able to put into this pouch, and also to have so much trust that he will be provided with everything that he desires exactly at the right time. That is crazy amount of trust, right? I can't leave my house without, you know, having my little bag of trinkets, my purse, my you know, pouch, my own pouch of, yeah, the bare essential, the bare minimum. So maybe a very playful way for you to experience the energy of the Fool is to either go on a hike and climb a mountain with nothing except your own thoughts and accept your own, your own company, or, go around your area, maybe go on a walk. Also taking nothing, leave your house, take a new journey through the streets with nothing, and really carry that cloak and that energy of anything can happen. And what if I'm provided for? What if we could play with life in this way? Through this journey and through this experience, I want to invite you into these curious little prompts and experiences where we test the fabric of the reality that we have created. It feels like for the Fool, the world is the oyster, right? Everything is open, everything is possible, everything is accessible. And the world we're part and create pathways of perfect synchronicities, perfect flow, and perfect opportunities. Of course, we all have the experience of falling out of flow, of insecurities, of not trusting, of overthinking. And that is our own journey. That is our mountain to climb. And maybe at some point we decide to take that out of our pouch and cast it aside. Maybe we take it and plant it into the ground to be alchemized and to grow into something new. But the Fool also speaks to me of what is our attitude to life. Are we optimistic? Are we the glass full, half empty kind of people? Like, if our pouch, if our backpack is empty, what are we full of? What are we ready for? What is that attitude and that spaciousness that we can hold within ourselves to meet the newness of life? The Fool is all about the new, right? And so I will speak to the shadow of the Fool in the next video, which is more about rigidity and impulsiveness and being frivolous. But what else is here that wants to be said? The creative process. So if we think of the birth of a child, two people have to come together into a union. They have to join together, connect. The seed has to gestate in the womb. It's usually a 9-month process. And then there's the birth and the growing up. Similar to the seasons, death, rebirth, winter, summer, sparking. We all have different seasons. So actually a nice exploration. What is the current season of your life? It can be synced up to the one outside. It can be synced up to your menstruation cycle, or it can just be your own season. So in this moment, listen for what is your season. Are you in spring, the generation of ideas, the beginning to go out into the world, but still being very inward and maybe thawing, recovering from winter? Are you in the summer in full bloom and in that energy, in that expression? Are you in autumn when we're beginning to let go and also harvest the fruits of our work? Are you in winter, where you're more inwards, tuning in, listening in, being very close to what is necessary, what is valid, what is valuable, and everything else has been stripped away? Have you been in a season of shedding and stripping back and stripping away? Maybe a little bit in between, you know. the Fool, it seems like he can shapeshift between all of them as he pleases, as he chooses. One day here, one moment here, and even throughout our day, I feel like we can shift seasons and moods and attitudes. But the question is, what is your core? What are the values, the essential values that you hold in your pouch, that you hold in your center? Maybe tuning into 1, 2, or 3 things that are your core essentials, that are your vitals. You know, for the Fool, he decided that the dog is clearly a part of the experience, companionship. Also, whatever he has in his pouch, and a very, snazzy outfit, a very colorful, expressive outfit. It was an essential choice of going on this adventure. What is your essential, vital matter? Everything is stripped away. Beginning maybe a conversation with your inner world, with your psyche, and tuning into what wants to emerge and float to the surface. Maybe this is something that the Fool helps you to understand and to witness as we deepen into practice. But for now, feel into if anything is coming up. Tuning into your breath, landing into your roots, into your spine, softening the body, the jaw, the eyebrows, softening the belly, the pelvic floor, becoming a little softer and a little more receptive. Maybe it begins with a sensation, a visual. Maybe there's a sense, but not yet words. That's okay. As I'm feeling into my own experience, maybe this will help you. It's one of my vitals would be love. Connecting to love, whatever shape, what would love do? Like the true essence, the consciousness, the energy of love. It is creativity in its core. Like they're very core energetics. Nourishment, spaciousness. One that I'm incorporating into my life now is joy and pleasure, and weaving whatever I do with that energy of excitement and true love, and like a joy and a pleasure to do it. I feel like so many times we can do tasks and then feel so empty and drained, but it's a real cultivation for me to try and stay in that center, in that anchor. And maybe if I have to do something difficult, breathe a little deeper, breathe a little softer, be a little more present. Something that's also moving through my system is presence. How present can I be to this life and grateful? Because I feel like what's blocking me, what's unnecessary in my pouch, would be control. Control of outcomes, of circumstances, of myself, of the unknown, of becoming too rigid and just not flexible and like daring to be spontaneous and adventurous in some aspects of my life. These are things that I'm trying to unravel in some way. So maybe you take that into your contemplation today at your own pace. Maybe you've just began to scratch the surface. So what else is here? There's so much. There's so much to explore. I would love for you to tune into what the Fool means to you. You've already been scratching that a little bit, maybe from the beginning of your practice. Maybe you return to that. And maybe catching in this moment, what is something new that moved in your psyche, in your consciousness, that you haven't put together before, or it has illuminated in a new way? What else is here? Yeah, we're in the beginning. We're in the 0 point where we have yet to enter the forest of transformation. But through the entire journey, we have access to the energy of the Fool, who has the opacity, who has the capacity to jump through hoops, to shapeshift, to transform, to find creative solutions, to just be in that light and fun and flirtatious and excited energy. So just remember that as your starting point. And there will be many feelings and sensations through the journey that we can enter into, but just my invitation for you, if that's what you desire to hold in your psyche and in your system, is just the vast potential for you to transform your reality and to find impossible answers, to be open to miracles, to possibilities, to just wow, the magnificence of life. And wow, it's just so exciting. I'm feeling so, just so happy. Like the Fool for me is just pure joy, this foolishness that we can have towards life. This feeling of innocent love, this first love before we even got hurt, before we knew what heartbreak is. Can we come home to that a little bit? Can we allow ourselves to view life and maybe challenges that have been sitting in our system for a long time and return to that primordial trust? The Fool is a quantum leaper. He is the hero of the story. He is a master alchemist, and what can you find within the Fool for yourself? If you desire more support, tune into the meditation, the mini practices. There's going to be journaling questions, also the embodiment practice and the shadow side that can help deepen the realities of the Fool into our system, or where we might still be in the eclipsed version of the shadow, not reaching for the full potential. But think of it as the full picture, the yin and yang, the shadow giving us depth and capacity to move through anything, to touch anything, to truly come into the full spectrum human. So I will leave it here. If I have any more medicine, I'll drop it in some other way. But there's so much that can be explored here. Literally, all of the cards. We can look from the lens of one card at all the other cards in the deck. Imagine the possibilities of that. The Emperor through the eyes of the Fool. The the High Priestess through the eyes of the Fool, the, you know, Five of Wands through the eyes of the Fool. Like, there's so much here. Maybe if you're working with the tarot deck itself, you can take a look at the Fool card, if you can find it and flick through it, and then pull a card to ask, what is the most necessary and vital aspect of the Fool that I can inquire into or use the Fool's lens to digest into my system? Let me know in the Telegram and in the group chat what's coming up for you. And whew, I'm excited for the next video to continue this journey with you, and much love until then.